All right, we are live, and we're about to start the presentation. And I believe we've got a full quorum here. So, all right, folks, for people interested in NERFA 365, here you go.
Our spring tour in Germany, 20 City Spring Tour, was canceled, followed by summer festivals that were canceled both in the United States and in Germany.
Ethical Brew has been closed down due to the pandemic like everyone else, as is my personal business.
Everything else is like gone. All the other work is gone. And
really done anything but grocery shop, which I've become very good at.
This year, we've struggled with underwriting. It makes sense businesses out there are struggling and don't have the extra money to advertise.
Thanks for the opportunity to tell you about it.
Hi, everyone, and what I miss the most, my biggest challenge during COVID, is I miss seeing you.
Zoom can't detect my microphone. My default filter has changed. Also all these amazing things I never thought I would have to learn, right? Because I would just say things like, well, humans got that.
My name is Ellis Paul.
Hello, Sonia Disappear Fear here.
Hi, I'm Jess Spanoff. I'm the music director of MVY Radio on Martha's Vineyard.
Hello, everyone. This is Perry Stein. That's Stein from Ethical Brew.
Hey, everybody. It is Jess Frazzi here.
Hey, everybody. Joe Crookston here.
Hey, everybody. My name is Izzy Hiltai. I'm a singer-songwriter based out of Western Massachusetts.
Hello, music lovers. This is Dan Gottfried, treasurer of NERFA.
My name is Justin Nordell, and I am the executive director of the Philadelphia Folk Song Society.
Over the last year, I have had the privilege of participating in the planning of NERFA 365.
Reassessing and trying to share information and Zoom discussions and content around artist and venue needs, specifically during a pandemic.
Some news about the Northeast Folk Alliance Mentor Program. Biff Kennedy and I have been working very closely with the programming committee at NERFA to put together a year-round online mentor program and sign up to meet with, to have conversations with, to learn from, and get support from mentors in our community. Right now, it's essential. We all have so many questions as we move forward in the uncertainty. So we look forward in early December to rolling out this online mentor program. Stay tuned. If you would like to be part of it, we would love to have you. So the NERFA Mentor online program coming soon. Take care, everybody, and be safe.
There are already a number of ways that you can connect with people. Most of us are familiar with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, but what we're looking to do with 365 is a little different.
As has always been the case in NERFA, one of the most impactful ways that we all grow together is through sharing with our peers. There's immense value in discovering how a fellow musician, presenter, or other music professional is meeting the challenges of furthering their careers especially in these changing times. NERFA 365 is planning to host a number of opportunities for groups of peers to gather together to reconnect with old friends, share stories of the successes and challenges brought on by the pandemic, and to learn from each other.
There's lots of songwriters at NERFA who want to hear what you're doing. There's a lot of venue owners that want to hear what you're doing, radio people that want to see you do it in a tiny little hotel room where you cannot help but be, in the moment.
I was brought on to the NERFA programming committee last year to plan workshops and panels dedicated to diversifying our community and member base with hopes of being a more inclusive space for all types of people. This year we're still actively taking steps to do that.
One of the key components of NERFA's success over the years has been the level and professionalism of the panels and workshops that we've offered. It's always been our goal to strive to present to you ways to increase your proficiency in the ways that you are presenting yourself, in the ways that people perceive your product, in the way that you can market yourself, and to do our best to give you the tools to get in front of and impress every person that you perform in front of.
As part of NERFA 365, NERFA is going to be offering monthly juried showcase opportunities. That is right. NERFA is going to be able to present you in front of presenters like me and so many others of my colleagues to be able to have your music showcased for us so that we can find ways to present you perhaps digitally in a virtual or digital concert venue or in person when we're able to do that again.
I really love NERFA a lot and love helping them out any way I can.
This place, NERFA, is the right place to go out, meet people, create friendships. I'm not just saying connections, but create friendships and community around your music and learn how to be better at doing it. Not just with business, but with songwriting.
We're in the early phases and we've got a whole lot of hurdles to jump. We are absolutely dedicated to serving you, our community, and the people that we care about. Well,
good evening.
Welcome to...
Good evening, and welcome to the annual community meeting with the NERFA Board of Directors that is being held virtually via YouTube for the first time in our 26-year history. I'm Michael Kornfeld, your board president. For those of you who may not be aware, NERFA is a regional affiliate of Folk Alliance International, a nonprofit organization that aims to serve, strengthen, and engage the global folk music community through preservation, presentation, and promotion. NERFA is governed by a volunteer board of directors, which has been engaged in discussions and ongoing efforts in recent years to make it more of a year-round organization in order to better meet the needs and serve the interests of FAI members from the Northern Virginia suburbs of Washington, D.C. to the provinces of Eastern Canada. While we have presented one-day mini conferences, partnered on NERFA Presents showcases with select presenters and venues throughout our region, and instituted a young folk program a few years ago, the cancellation of our annual conference this month and the ongoing public health crisis have provided the impetus for us to do something much more dramatic and to launch NERFA 365, the next step in our exciting evolution. We'll have an open discussion about this venture in just a few minutes. But first, I want to introduce you to our newly elected and returning board members. Joining the NERFA Board of Directors this fall are Kimberly Sinclair, a publicist based in Nova Scotia, and Coco Wilde, a New York-based concert presenter. Returning for another 3-year term on the board is Barbara Schiller, a New Haven, Connecticut-based house concert presenter and the past president of CT Folk. They join Justin Nordell, our co-vice president and the executive director of the Philadelphia Folk Song Society, who you saw just moments ago in the video presentation. Our co-vice president and acting secretary, Ethan Baird, who is a co-founder of Tribal Mischief and of the band Pesky J. Nixon. Our treasurer, who will provide us with a financial update later this evening, is Dan Gottfried. Like Coco and me, Dan is also a New York-based concert presenter. Also serving on the board are Matt Raymer, who has a wealth management firm and is also a part-time mastering engineer, and Dan Whitener, an artist and member of the band Gangsta Grass. Ethan Baird has devoted an incredible amount of time and energy to spearheading our NERFA 365 initiative. I'd like to turn things over now to him to lead us in an open discussion of NERFA 365. Ethan?
Good evening, everybody. I have to say I really miss doing this in a lobby with 500 to 800 of you. But on the bright side, I know I'll probably sleep a little more tonight than usual. We're really excited to talk to you about the plan with NERFA 365. One of our sort of key tenets of being representatives of the board and being representatives of the organization has been trying to figure out the best way to meet the needs of the community and make sure that what we're offering is something we can actually deliver on. And believe it or not, that's really what's kept us working the hardest. It was imperative to us that if we made a promise that we kept it. So my hat's off to the entire board, working hand in hand with Dan Gottfried, with Dan Whitener, with Barbara Schiller, with Justin Nordell, with Matt Raymer, and with our new board members, as well as our president, Michael. This has been a long time coming, and it's been a long genesis, but we're finally really excited to talk to you about what our plans are. And you got to see a little bit of that in the video. Primarily, what our hope and goals are to make sure that as we learn how this new version of the world works. Also, thank you, Angus. Good to see you. As we discover how this new version of the world works, that we all centralize that information and use it so we can make sure all the boats are rising and we are presenting the best material and the best educational programming that we can. And that boils down to a number of different things. I have been and continue to be the programming manager for NERFA. It is a group that I've been working on for about 6 years, originally with Diane, Mary Lou, Fred, Cheryl, and a lot of the folks that made this organization what it is. And I learned a lot under there and have taken all of that and really tried to focus on bringing you programming that absolutely meets the need of what's going on right now. And we're going to be doing twice monthly panels moving forward on the first and third Thursdays of every month. On a personal level, we are going to be trying to address the general community need for connection by introducing regular peer group and peer connection meetings for our artist community, our presenter community, our house show community, and trying to figure out how we all can collectively figure out a way to navigate this new version of things. We're excited about that. We're excited about starting to work on regular artist speakers, and by artist I don't mean just artists, but artists and presenters, the people in the community that have something really meaningful to say about things that are going on and the trials that we're all facing. And we're working with them to get some pre-recorded material, and the goal will be regularly presenting that every month. You'll have a different 10 to 15 minute, essentially keynote address for members of the community, and we're working to make that happen. We're really excited about that. Again, the entire notion behind this is the centralization of information. And to make all of this work on a base level, there's some technological hurdles that we have to jump, and we're in the process of setting up our own intranet for all of this material to live. Until we get to that point, it'll all live on YouTube and through the systems that you're already familiar with, our website and everything else. We are super excited to start rolling this out. And as you saw in the video, we already have our first 4 panels in the chamber ready to go. We're looking forward to the mentorship program. Joe Crookston, Biff Kennedy is spearheading that. We're very excited about it. And that's stage 1. And from there, we're going to do our best to continue figuring out how much more we can provide. And that, in the end, is going to be driven by your feedback, what you like, what's working, what isn't working, whether we have the funding to do everything we want to do. This new world order is very challenging for artists and venues, and we know that. It's also challenging for us because there's no registration fee to come here tonight. So we're going to do our best to do what we can with what we have. And, your support means the world to us. That's what I got. I think with that, Dan Godfrey is actually next on the agenda to talk about specifically the financial health of the organization and to give you guys a sense of where we sit. Oh, Dan, you are muted, sir. Oh, I'll unmute you. I think I can do that. Let's see if I can unmute. No, I can't. You've muted yourself, so I can't unmute you.
I unmuted me. Okay. I had switched to the screen with the financials on it and didn't have the mute button in front of me. It's great to see everyone. God, we have missed all of you so much, and especially missed the music. And we're really excited about bringing NERFA 365 to you and being able to see people again and share with everyone. Our financials are challenging. Ethan's right. Organizations, just like the individuals in the midst of the pandemic, are facing real challenges. Essentially, without making too big a deal out of it, we have no income this year. And we're beginning to think about how we can address that. But we've been trying to, keep a presence in everyone's lives and doing a lot of volunteer work to do that, but also looking at ways to strengthen the organization so that we can do that as well as possible. And basically, for the last year, the end of the year of 2020, we had lost about $15,800 in round figures, leaving us with about $75,000 approximately in the bank. It's $74,995 for those of you that care about those things. The challenge is real. We are going to look at ways to fundraise, ways to create opportunities for our membership to contribute to the organization, even at the point that we're not having a conference, and other ways of getting people to support NERFA so that we can be there for you. It's something that's going to demand the support of everyone. I assumed the role of treasurer in June. And one of the first things I did was to help complete the 990 for 2018-19, and then to complete the 990 for 2019-20, so that we are now up to date with our government reporting, which is important for an organization that's a nonprofit. We're also working on professionalizing our books and creating a set of books that meets the accounting standards for nonprofits. We owe a great debt of gratitude to Justin Nordell, who assumed this position before me, even though it wasn't really his cup of tea, and served us for almost 2 years keeping NERFA going and keeping our finances accounted for, and really doing an outstanding job. So while we can't applaud, I'm going to thank you, Justin. It was just, an essential service that you did for everyone. So I'm looking forward to moving forward with everyone. If anyone has any questions, wants to know more details about our finances, I'm always happy to answer questions. You can reach me at dang@nerfa.org. Pretty easy to remember. The other Dan is danw@nerfa.org. So just remember the last names and you'll be good. And if you ever want to talk about any of this, if you have ideas for fundraising, if you have ideas for how we can create a fee structure that will sustain the organization and build our ability to offer more to our membership, I'm always eager to talk about these things. And I look forward to seeing you all next year at the conference and throughout this year as NERFA 365 begins.
I realize I left out the thing that probably people care about the most. I left out showcasing and what that's going to look like. And that honestly was, there was a lot of thought that went into that from the board, from the programming committee, and from the conference committee, trying to find ways, because I know that's something that's really important to artists, it's really important to venues. And what we determined that we were going to do was we are going to have a monthly, essentially, submission process where people can submit a single video that will go through a rotating set of judges, different judges every month, and every month as part of the NERFA newsletter that is sent out. We'll acknowledge the top 3 videos and some of the reasoning why, so that that information is more transparent. We've certainly heard in the past about people wanting more of a feel for that. So this is an opportunity for us to do it. And also it'll be a chance for us to rotate the criteria so we can have a month that is specifically about songwriting and a month that's specifically about creating a great video and so on and so forth. So I just wanted to share that part because I know there were questions about it. With that being said, Michael, anything you want to bring to the table? There you go.
Thanks, Ethan, and thanks, Dan. Before we open up for some Q&A, I would just like to acknowledge a few people who are present with us today. I had mentioned earlier that NERFA is part of Folk Alliance International, and I'm delighted that FAI's executive director and board president are both with us today, and Finnan, the executive director, and Lisa Schwartz, board president of FAI. And I'm also delighted that my friend Brian Kalanick, the newly elected president of SWRFA, Southwest Regional Folk Alliance, is joining us tonight. And I'd be remiss if I did not thank Jess Razi-Rubel, who's been helping us behind the scenes so much. So thank you, Jess. And now, Ethan, how do we do this with online questions and answers?
Yippee. So now is the time for questions. We specifically did what we could to leave as much time open as possible. Would love your feedback, and we're looking forward to seeing what we can do. Da, 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 da.
Come on, there has to be a million questions out there.
Yeah, this is. I know Joel Pomerantz is watching.
This is your opportunity, folks.
I'm just saying.
Well, while we're waiting for the first question to come in, I do want to share some really wonderful news about one of NERFA's long-running programs, which is the NERFA Presents Young Folk program. This is a program that was started a number of years ago to create opportunities for showcasing some wonderful young rising stars in our region. And it is something that, as the youngest member of the NERFA board, I took onto my plate with Cheryl Ashker when I first joined, and is something that we have very proudly presented a number of phenomenal young artists throughout the region at various festivals and events. This year, due to the pandemic, we naturally were not able to present as many artists in locations as we'd hoped, but I was very, very excited that NERFA partnered with the Philadelphia Folk Festival and the Philadelphia Folk Song Society to present 3 phenomenal artists at this year's event as part of the NERFA Presents Young Folk program. So I just want to give some love and give a shout out to those 3 incredible acts, which are John Muirhead, Alisa Amador, and Dewey, who all were phenomenal. And I'm very happy to share that their young folk presentation of those 3 artists was viewed over 5,000 times after the festival. We had the festival available on demand for a week after the fact, and just during that week, their performances were viewed over 5,000 times. Something that I am incredibly proud of because they were so darn good. I'm glad as many people got to see them as they did. So we're going to continue to work through the Represents Young Folk program over the next year to make sure that we're able to provide incredible opportunities and mentorship to our youngest artists who are starting out and are already so incredibly talented.
So we do have questions coming in. Thank you, Justin. You have taken young folk under your wing, and I'm always excited to see where you're taking it, and excited to see how we can keep that going. Eagle. Some questions we'll start addressing. Our dear friend Carrie Estrin asked, will the site be updated with all this information? Yep, all of the general information, including the videos that you just saw, will be up on the homepage within the next few days. As far as what I was talking about is the hub with the internal, essentially we're going to create our own internal social media network, essentially, for the thing that will be accessible through the website, but it will be its own internal member thing. Electric Maid, I don't know who that is, but who is the new conference director?
I think that'll be
Joe Pomerantz. I think he was nominated. There is no conference director.
That's the Electric Maid venue.
Yeah, there is no conference director as of right now. We do want to thank Courtney Rodland for all of the work she did in the year and a half she served as conference director. With her stepping down, while the organization does realize we do need staffing to accomplish all that we're looking to do, we don't have a conference, so a conference director perhaps isn't specifically what we're looking for. 42. This is our friend Bruce Swan. Why has there been so little information from the organization these past 8 months? I can speak to that, but I'd also, if Michael or anyone else on the board wants to speak to that.
I don't want to leave it all to you, Ethan. The reason why you haven't heard a lot is because we've been doing a lot of ruminating, like I think everyone has in the music community, trying to make our way through the challenges and surprises and often, changes that came out of nowhere. For a long time, we thought we'd be having a conference, this November, even in the midst of the pandemic. In the early days, it looked like, okay, this is going to be a couple of months of us all struggling, and then we're going to get back to some kind of normality. So I think putting out information was difficult because we really were constantly changing in terms of, evolving what we thought we should be doing. And we sent out the survey to all of you, which was, amazingly helpful as we started to think about what the options were in terms of what would meet everyone's needs. But it really took a lot of thought. And I think, like everyone else during this pandemic, there were just constant surprises. So we would think one meeting we would say, okay, next month, let's do this, let's launch that, let's communicate that. And then the next month would come and the situation would be so different that we would have to start rethinking it all over again.
We also considered the idea of having a short version of the conference, an online conference, but realized that there's no way that we could emulate what takes place each November in Stamford, Connecticut online. And rather than do that, we decided, let's finally do what we've been talking about, both current board members and past board members for the past few years. Let's see if we may realize our dream of being a year-round organization. And let's spread things out. Instead of having programming and mentoring and peer sessions just over a day or two, and that's it for the year, let's see what we can do to do that year-round. So that's what we are launching tonight.
Yeah, and just to reiterate specifically what Michael was talking about, we've all been attending and watching our peers, the other regionals, and what they've been trying to do, our parent FAI and what they're doing. And the fact of the matter is, people like Justin were able to show us that you can have a music festival, a very successful music festival, and do it virtually. But what we're looking for is to present professional skills. And one of the things that we hear every year at NERFA proper is that people want to go to two things that are happening at the same time. And rather than try to kill ourselves and run an event that went 20 straight hours on a weekend, where most of us don't want to sit in front of a computer for 20 straight hours. I know some of you really, really want to, but we kind of felt that wasn't the best way to go. So instead, offering you continual services, week in, week out, it felt like the right evolution, and that's what we're doing. Nina's question, virtual showcases, that's essentially what we were talking about earlier with the monthly submissions. We're not going to run virtual events, virtual concerts as of right now. The conversations that we had as a programming committee, as a conference committee, and as a board of directors, there are 35 shows going on every night from all of you. If we start doing our own thing, honestly, we're just kind of getting in the way of what other people are doing. By having our monthly showcase having our monthly showcase submissions and being able to recognize the people that we think are really doing great work, we feel like that will actually shine a brighter light than trying to compete with everything else. So that's the idea there.
And that being said, myself and a number of other presenters have all voiced that we're going to be watching NERFA showcases in order to help discern artists that we're going to be presenting in our digital or virtual venues, to help ensure that these artists get paying gigs during this next year.
Yeah. Excellent point. And to Stuart's question, as far as it seems like the best bet for live performances will be outdoors, can we design protocols? That's honestly what I think the peer groups are going to be discussing, and the goal is to take notes from all of those and to start standardizing them. So if you're interested in being involved in that conversation, I would urge you to get involved in those peer groups. Madhamita Chakrabarti, we presenters need better information resources as to what are some best ways to present our artists. Agreed. That's in the same vein. That's what we're hoping to start addressing, both in the panel and program and the panels and workshops, as well as in the peer groups, and having those conversations. I know the board of directors is currently a glut of presenters. Our board of directors has Justin, Michael, Dan, Barbara, all of whom, and Coco, who's dropped off, but is still in the room watching. And technically, I'm a presenter too, so it's certainly near and dear to our hearts, and we're all sort of thinking on that. Along those lines, contemporary dulcimer, I understand that people will always want more opportunities to showcase. Here's the problem: when all you do is showcase, there's no impetus to watch the showcases. So by doing it once a month, on a monthly basis, we're doing our best to recognize people as quickly and as fairly as possible. Yep, Justin, jump on in.
I just wanted to also say to contemporary dulcimer, there are two very specific reasons why we're not doing it this way. One, I'm going to speak for myself, not for every presenter out there. But there are, as Ethan said before, a number of things going on in and around our music world, but there's other things that are going on in our world. And in the event that something were to occur, or something that would perhaps supersede somebody from coming and watching or participating in a Gorilla or Zoom, and it not being available to view afterwards and kind of having an on-demand aspect to it, then it kind of does defeat the purpose. There's been so many times where I have wanted to see something, but because of either my workload or because of something in my personal life, I've not been able to attend. And so being able to do this at my leisure, and others being able to view the showcases that are selected each month, is something that's going to be key to their success. In addition to that, I think a number of musicians will be able to speak to this tonight, but Zoom just isn't at a point where they can truly showcase an artist's artistry. Zoom isn't at a place where, no matter how much you think the settings of visuals, we're going to be able to really capture what it is that you and your fellow performers do so incredibly well. So allowing artists to film their own videos and perhaps do anything in their bag of tricks, or some new tools in their toolbox that NERFA will give them in these upcoming webinars, will allow them to really shine in these showcases and allow other presenters to see the very best that you have to offer, which frankly wouldn't be on a scheduled Zoom.
In addition, several other regional affiliates of Folk Alliance have been or will be presenting online showcases, as are a number of festivals within our region. And rather than duplicate those efforts, we would rather cross-promote some of them and each be doing different things for the greater community that we serve.
You know, I just want to add one other point, which is that we have a lot of concern about what a difficult time this is for musicians in particular, who may depend upon their touring and their playing in front of people for their livelihood, to be able to survive. So, you know, we really don't want to do things to compete with those opportunities where people are being paid for their performances online. And frankly, Gorilla Zooms, even though it's a great way to introduce yourself to presenters in the normal world where everyone's looking for people to put on in shows, at this time it just seemed like it would be competition for those people who are trying to, you know, eke out a living by doing live shows on the internet.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I can also speak to having spent some time with the survey, that I would like to thank everyone who submitted. I think we had over 200 responses to that at the beginning of this year. And a lot of the artists have spoken to fatigue, you know, especially now, where there's just a lot of this. Zoom doesn't necessarily give you the feedback that you'd like it to have from a live show. So as much as we should be giving a lot of good opportunities, I think they just don't necessarily do the trick. And so we really are trying to listen to what is going to be the best solution for everybody. You know, obviously we're trying to make decisions here from the top, but we absolutely want it to be influenced by your input and what is actually going to be the best for everyone in our community.
just like people to appreciate how much work this group has put into trying to reinvent ourselves in a way that would not overlap what other people are doing, and how we could be the most helpful to all the different populations that make up their
Good point, Barbara. Thank you for that. I just because I know we've got a bunch of questions coming in, we'll keep moving on. Janice Hansen, so good to see you, asking about being a full NERFA member. When I said NERFA membership before, one of the things you should keep in mind, I said NERFA membership. I didn't say FAI. There is no paid NERFA membership. What I was talking about is the area that we're going to create for people to share. It will be something that you have to register for. There's no charge to register for, at least in the short-term foreseeable future as we get this stuff established. So any and everyone can do that. And no matter what system that we pursue, there's likely always going to be a free version of how to participate in some things. So if you have people that would like to participate, by all means, let them participate. We just need their email. That's it. I hope that's okay. I put it up before, but I do want to say it is so wonderful to see our fearless leader of the last 25 years, Diane Tangle. I miss seeing you, and it's great to have you here. So moving along, Beth Stein asked, when will the bi-monthly Thursdays begin? The first bi-monthly Thursday is, I believe, December 3rd, and that is a panel that Dan Godfrey is going to be moderating, and he can probably talk about that a little bit if you would like.
Sure. We're going to focus on kind of exploring opportunities that the pandemic has presented to people. We'll be doing that from two different perspectives, from the perspective of artists who are reinventing themselves and looking for new opportunities, and in many cases creating new opportunities, and also from the position of industry professionals who are seeing changes in the way that people can access opportunities. So it'll be a good chance to kind of hear from people who have been creating some movement in their professional lives, and some of the things that they've done, and some of the things that you might want to entertain doing, and also to ask some questions and get some new ideas by discussing this together.
Great response, Dan. Thank you. A great question from Perry Stein feeds into the second panel that we'll be doing, which will be on December 17th. And that is basically technology and presenting a show for presenters and ways to do that. And we've got some wonderful panelists from Signature Sound, Cafe Lena, our own previous board of directors, vice president, and my band manager, Mama, Kathy Sands-Bamer, as well. So that will be addressed. And yeah, I tried to make a point in the videos that we put together to make it clear how much the health of our venues really reflects the health of our community. So thank you for that question, and it is central to our heart. Any ideas you have, any specific things that you are looking for, please let us know. I will address, there was a quick question, a follow-up question from Stuart Marcus on what we were saying earlier, specifically regarding the panels being available after the fact. That specifically is probably something, as we try to develop a membership and or digital subscription type service, that would be the kind of thing that might live in that space. But yeah, everything that we're looking to do from here on out will be captured and put forward. Along those lines, this YouTube channel, which thank you everyone who subscribed. You got us to 150 people in 2 days, which is great because we weren't able to get control of the old NERFA channel that's about 6 years old and had 30 subscriptions over 7 years. So hats off to you. We've already started gathering the old keynotes, and we're going to start putting those up in that space, as well as the wisdom of the elders. And one of the things we haven't talked about, but is in the back of my brain that I want to start looking forward to as future content as we can manage it. We'll be reaching out to Sunny and seeing what we can do to start a Wisdom of the Elders moving forward in this virtual environment as well. Is there a NERFA Discord server? No. There's a limit to how many social media areas we can toss ourselves at. We'll see. I know what you're talking about, and I use Discord. I think right now that would be more work than it would be a payoff.
I've got a great name if we do it, Ethan. I think we should call it Discord.
That works. Sorry, I just deleted. Carrie Estrin had a comment. I'm sorry. Yeah, we miss and love our folk DJs. I have had the wonderful opportunity over the last 4 or 5 months to reach out to a number of people in the community as a whole, including the folk DJs. Ron Olesko was kind enough to give me a significant amount of his time talking about what he was doing, and we're really happy to see that the challenges that some folk DJ communities are facing, others are seeing the flip side of that. But you all are in our thoughts, and happy to do whatever we can to help you guys as well. Keep looking for more questions, Jess, and we've got Jess Razzie behind the scenes helping us find stuff too. So I'm going to stop clicking because I'm over clicking her clicking. Oh, Benny, sure. The mentor program is being spearheaded by Joe Crookston and Biff Kennedy, two members of the programming committee. Biff, a senior member of the program committee, has been part of it for as long as I have, about 6 years now. And we're basically taking the same process before, where we can have mentors sign up and create a calendar of when they're available, and mentees sign up for those. And we'll have a bunch of checks and balances sort of put in place to make sure what happened last year, where we had a single individual sign up for 35 different mentoring sessions. We'll create a method to keep that, but that feeds into why we need to go through a registration process to make this stuff work. Because if we don't, that stuff will happen. These Thursday webinars will be at 8 p.m. We wanted to make sure that we were making them open to the largest possible group of people. And while there are plenty of people in the music community available at noon, some of us aren't. So we figured 8 o'clock, we'll just do our best to make it worth your prime time.
But Ethan, if someone can't make it at 8 p.m., when and where would they be able to see it later?
As of right now, they'll be able to see it on our YouTube channel after the fact. All of that stuff will be archived there. Yeah, and I love the NERFA.org up there. I believe we have a PayPal address as well. Dan, do you know what our PayPal address is? Just in case anyone wants to contribute. I figured we got you.
Because I don't know the exact address. Sorry.
We'll figure that out before the meeting's over.
We'll put a link on our website to making donations if people want to make donations. If we don't have one already, we'll put one on there. And as we do these, as we do these events, I think we'll probably look, right, Ethan, to create some way for people to donate if they'd like to and are able to in the midst of the event and afterwards.
Yeah, we do have a PayPal account that people can donate to. Yes, nerfa.org/donate.
There we go. Jess on the ball. Thank you, Jess.
Thank you very much for that. And yeah, at this point, NERFA financially speaking, we have no income. So anything that can be contributed allows us to do our best to continue providing services. We are entirely volunteer run at this point. You know, we're going to do a whole, I feel like we're going to be delivering a whole lot for entirely volunteer run. Someone earlier was like, well, look at FAI, I've been doing all this stuff. And FAI is wonderful and we love them, but they have a staff. So committee will be looking for help with the workshops panels. Yet each event will need a tech person. Yet Pam Robinson, our remarkable volunteer coordinator, cat wrangler and person, will be looking for volunteers, and that will be up on the website as well for people looking to get involved. These will not be the old volunteer staff where we need someone to sit in the room because there are any rooms, but they will be somewhat technical, and that we'll need people to help produce events like this. And that doesn't mean you have to come in knowing it. It just means you're going to come in willing to learn it. And you have a computer. Those two things necessary. Hey, Matt Wheeler. As far as what kind of budget we're looking for in 2021, Dan can probably speak to that to some degree.
It's interesting that you ask that because prior to this, NERFA has really not operated on a budget in general. It's been kind of, well, this is what we did last year and we'll do it again this year. And one of the goals this year, we created a finance committee of the board, and one of the goals is to start creating a budget and looking at, you know, realistically what we need to do to generate income to meet our expenses. We've been very fortunate in that the growth of the organization and our successes have really, you know, put us in a fairly good financial position. You know, we're not going broke. We are able to keep functioning, but certainly going forward, we're going to try and look at how to build back up some of our reserves and to be in a position where when we come up against challenges like this, we're well positioned to, you know, thrive during them and to continue to offer things to the community.
Yeah, I think a lot of the answer for that, Carrie, is really going to be driven by the appetite of the community. As we start presenting this material, if the community says this is great, we want 5 times as much, our budget's probably going up. But that would be a wonderful situation. So looking forward to it. Can we send an email with what's going on? Yeah, we sent, hopefully you received an email yesterday and one last week, but moving forward, NERFA will be releasing a monthly newsletter containing all of what we're doing and what's going on.
And we also encourage you, if you're not already a member of it, to join our NERFA talk group on Facebook and like our NERFA page on Facebook, because we'll be sharing information there as well.
Tell you what, Louise, if you show up, I'll be there.
I'm not sure how I got muted, but I thought it would be good to talk for just a second about the challenges of moving from a founder-based organization with a strong, charismatic leader like Diane, who was there for so many years, to an organization that's beginning to kind of develop processes to see us into the future without that leadership that we had for so many years. And one of those things is that this board has really worked very hard in the last couple of years to start developing, you know, ways in which we do things that will ensure that NERFA is here for our children and our grandchildren into the future. NERFA 365 is part of that thinking, and we're looking at a lot of other ways in which we can, you know, start to put together processes that will make make certain that we're all here and that people will be, having the benefits of NERFA for many years to come. And this is a special challenge that's not at all unusual in nonprofit organizations, and it's one that I think this board has taken particular care with looking at and finding ways to, really make that process happen. And this is part of it, what you're seeing tonight, and I think you'll be seeing a lot more of it in the next year or so.
Terry, it's really good to see you, and we miss you and we miss your sound. And I'll be bugging you real soon because I got to get old sound stuff for us to start adding to the YouTube and the various places. So thanks for being here. Really good to see you. Bob, we're doing the best we can, and thank you. I personally, my life adage is rising tide lifts all boats, and I think that's what NERFA has always intended to be, which is a place where we all can learn together and we all can contribute to each other's growth. And I'm hoping we continue to be that space for everybody. Yep, Bob. So am I. Good to see you, Dan. I want to say to all our house concert presenters, NERFA has long had the unique designation of having the best presenter to artist ratio out of every iteration of Folk Alliance, including Folk Alliance International. And that's driven by our house concert series and our house concert presenters. And I'm aware our presenters, our standard brick and mortar presenters are going through a heck of a challenge right now. But I'm also aware for all of our house show presenters, our own Barbara Schiller among them, this is a dramatic change in how things work. I believe that there are some really necessary things that the community needs from our house show presenters and ways that we can work together to keep inspiring the kind of feeling that we had in those spaces. As a performer, my favorite shows were house shows. So you guys are near and dear to our hearts. Senator, it's good to see you. It's good to see you and have a congratulatory Thursday at NERFA. It's a nice Thursday. All right, I don't see any other active questions. I apologize if I missed them. By all means, keep them coming. We'll probably keep going for another 15 or 20 minutes. But Barry's question workshop, unfortunately, one-word questions, I don't know how to answer.
Yes.
Yes.
The answer is yes.
Sounds good. NERFA strong. As a Bostonian, I love that. So thank you. Good to see you, Angus.
Thanks, Angus.
By the way, you owe me an email response. Podcast question. So yeah, we'll sort of touch back on things. We'll probably run at about 9:15. We'll run the videos again. So for the folks that came a little late that missed sort of the production of what's going on, we'll do what we can there. Folk Music Notebook, the great inaugural winner of Creator of the Year, Ron Olesko. We would welcome the folk DJ community to run a showcase. As we said earlier, it is our current feeling that NERFA's space and the space for us is not to run events. There are a lot of events happening. It is our job to help highlight the people in our community and help celebrate the people in our community. But right now, it would feel like we were either adding to the noise or taking away from something that was someone's livelihood. And I hope that is an all right answer. I know it's a contestable answer, but it's where we currently sit. It got Clipper on the Griddle virtual. I'm assuming you're asking. Hi, Baron. Good to see you. I'm assuming you're asking about the on the Griddle workshops. We might get to doing something like that. Frankly, I think the showcase situation is pretty close to that. What we're planning on doing with that is, as you submit your things and as those are reviewed by the judges, we will be presenting the 3 winners every month, but we'll also be presenting essentially what you would have seen in a Griddle type scenario, where you'll be seeing the write-ups from the judges as to why they were chosen. I frankly think that that's going to be a better way than trying to do it through something like Zoom or something like this, which frankly is going to be laggy and isn't going to sound great and isn't really, I think, the best way to showcase the wonderful stuff that our community is doing. Stuart, I don't know if you saw in the video at the beginning, we've got 4 workshops already set and finalized. Dan's got one that he's running. Dan Gottfried is got one running on December 3rd, and that's basically, go ahead, Dan, if you want to talk about it. Oh, muted. Hold on, I'll unmute you. You're unmuted. You're good. I can unmute you.
I have not muted myself, so somehow I am getting muted. Am I unmuted now?
Yes, for what it's worth, Dan,
okay.
I mute you when you're done talking because I can hear myself echoed on your microphone when you don't mute. So if you don't do it, I will.
Okay. So Stuart, I'm not going to run through the whole thing I described before, but basically it's the first in a series of panels, and it's on exploring opportunities in the time of the pandemic, and it'll look at it from both kind of the industries, opportunities emerging in the industry, and also opportunities being created by musicians in response to the pandemic. And there'll be some time for question and answer and discussion, but there'll be some pretty significant panel presentation. And I think, Ethan, you have the schedule for the next 3 after that. Maybe
yeah, the schedule as it currently sits, the 17th panel on the 17th is basically technology for specifically presenters. So this would be aimed at our brick and mortar venues, our church coffee house venues, and our house show venues, as well as DJs who are looking at ways to start being presenters, which I know Bruce Swan is a great example of someone that has pivoted well in that space. So that is the 17th on December. Gosh, I don't have these written down. On the first Thursday in December, we've got a panel where we've got Sandy Apatow, I believe is her name, from Tret Fury's music partner. You are muted, Dan. This time you muted yourself.
Okay, the one you're describing now is the first one in January, I think.
Yes. Yeah. And that will specifically be on building and growing and fostering an audience. And that's, I think, one of the interesting topics that really I don't think people are looking at in the best ways right now. Is, I know a lot of people want people to watch them, but there's a difference between trying to get attention and trying to foster an audience. And that panel is really going to be specifically on that. We're reaching out to people both inside our own community and external to our community that have really done a masterful job of doing that. And I'm really looking forward to that panel. I think it's going to be a great one. That's December 7th is that panel. And December 21st is our own Joe Crookston from the programming committee is going to be spearheading a panel specifically on creating and diversifying income streams, utilizing all of these new systems that exist and looking at new ways of doing that. And I'm excited for that one as well. And we've got another probably about 8 to 10 panels that are all in development. And sort of the way that we work is the programming committee gets together and we start reaching out to the best people that we can find to the topics that we're looking to do. And if those people are available and we get them on board, we quickly move that panel up. So just so folks know how that's prioritized. Will the digital and calendar include artist show streams so that they're more centralized for venues and fans? No, Robin, they won't be, because FAI does that. And FAI does that. Gordon Nash runs a fantastic calendar. And quite frankly, if we were to start a calendar, none of you would use it because there are 5 other calendars. And if you aren't using that, you're not going to use ours. And I'm saying that out of love. And I'm saying that as someone that creates I have 12 calendars and I only use 2 of them. So I think we're probably going to avoid that just because, again, we want to make sure we are inviting content. We aren't inviting noise. So we're trying to be careful about that.
Indeed, we have pointed people to some of those other online calendars that Ethan mentioned. And again, we see ourselves as being a resource, not to duplicate or replicate efforts, but to join in and provide other information and resources and tools that are helpful for you and cross-promote some of the others.
Sarah, that's a good question. I don't know, Justin, if you want to specifically take a stab at that, because that is your particular area of expertise.
Hi, Sarah, who I presented at the Philadelphia Folk Festival this year. And if all y'all do not know Sarah King, I did not know Sarah King at the start of 2020, and I am now a huge fan. And I think y'all should check her out. But we are going to be creating resources that are going to be in the sign-in area of the website for anyone that does join us. And in there, we are going to be having the list of presenters who are going to be doing active virtual streamings, active outdoor events, active hybrid events, et cetera, so that we can help artists plan either digital tours or, when the weather starts getting nicer, more outdoor related events. So we are hoping in the next year or two to also create a map which would allow for different presenters from venues to coffee houses to house concerts to be able to show their name and location on there, so that it can really help artists with routing. I know I've spoken to a number of Canadian artists who've come to NERFA who've said one of the most incredible reasons of coming to NERFA is routing and planning a tour. In Canada, you can drive 12 hours and not get to your next venue. But in the Northeast, you can drive 12 hours and hit 3 or 4 markets and many, many venues in between. So that is something that we were discussing actually before the pandemic, and something that we are going to continue to work on so that we can help connect our presenters and our artists. Great question by a great artist.
Scott, my good friend Scott, as far as specific things geared towards helping out folks that perform in groups, as someone to perform, well, I just realized I'm down here so you can't even see me. Michael, I'm moving you down. I don't know the right answer to that, and I would welcome ideas on things that people are doing. The fact of the matter is, yeah, for a band, economically, this is essentially untenable. I don't know that we have an answer for that. As we said, we don't have an operating budget. I would love to see, when we talk about the 1-3-5-year plan for NERFA, I would love to see us get to the point where NERFA can start building up a regular income so we can address some of those things. Justin, you don't have to raise your hand, man. Just talk over me.
Well, first of all, I just wanted to say hi to Scott, who I miss, because I would love to see your entire act wandering around NERFA in onesies or whatever costumes you had planned for this year. But I do want to say that we do have some incredible acts in the NERFA region who have figured out some ways to do some great performances in their full acts, doing things either pre-recorded or by using some other technology, one of which is Gangsta Grass, which Dan Whitener happens to be a part of. So there are some other acts in NERFA that I've also seen do that. I know that now in going into the coming months when things are going to be more difficult with the second wave, it's going to be more challenging for acts than ever. So just wanting to acknowledge that and appreciate all that you and your act have done to put some wonderful happy music out there. And I absolutely loved your set at the Philadelphia Folk Festival. Mwah. Thanks to your entire band.
You know, I want to just chime in on that for a second because it's interesting to me that I think Ethan and Justin and myself, there are so many different ways to interpret that question, to how do we help artists who perform in groups? Do we help them financially, helping them technically? And I was even thinking of the third level, which is anytime any group of people gets together, now we have this additional safety concern. And I just generally think that that kind of speaks to where we are right now is trying to figure out what the best practices even are. And then I think that's one of the strengths of us as an organization is that we can kind of be a repository of anything that any of you have figured out. And all of those great techniques and ideas will rise to the top, hopefully, and then get filtered back out and disseminated to everyone. But it really is just it's a big picture right now. And those are all important parts of the question.
Thank you, Scott. So we're sort of coming up to the end of the meeting. We're going to stick around for another 4+ minutes, but if anyone has any other questions, by all means, let us know. The other thing to keep in mind is NERFA has its own email system now. So if you're just looking for general questions that you're sending to NERFA as a whole, info@nerfa.org is a great way to get in front of a lot of us. Otherwise, Ethan@nerfa.org, you can do that. Justin@nerfa.org, Danjo, I believe, @nerfa.org, Danji @nerfa.org, Barbara@nerfa.org, Matt@nerfa.org, Michael@nerfa.org, Coco, Kimberly as well. So please reach out, give us your feedback, let us know what you're thinking. We really, really want to be serving you, and we're aware of the challenge. We know it's real. And we're going to do our best to do this right. I'm not seeing any other questions, so we'll give it another couple of minutes, and then we'll run the videos. Thank you, guys. Go for it, Dan.
I want to give people a little bit of hope. We just did our first concert of the year of Voices in the Heights a few weeks ago, and one of the things we discovered, which really warmed my heart, was that because we're doing these online concerts, we're opening up our world to people that never would have been able to attend at our venues and may not have heard of the artists that we're presenting before. We're opening up to a whole wide world, and it totally took me by surprise how many people, came to the concert whose names I didn't recognize, who I had never heard of before, who were across the country, who sometimes were across the world, and they were paying big bucks, some of them too. And it just, there is opportunity in the midst of this. So I know a lot of people are, kind of despairing and feeling like, where's my life going? Because you're used to touring all around the, during the year, or you're used to putting on, a show every month or every week. But there really are opportunities, and that's part of why we're doing NERFA 365, is to start having, kind of helping our membership to think about those opportunities and take advantage of them.
Did want to just because a lot of members of the board have spoken, but our illustrious financial guru Matt Raymer has not. I wanted to offer him if there's anything he'd like to share.
I don't really have anything new to share, but there's been a few questions throughout the evening about what types of mentorships and what types of workshops, and we will be having workshops that are, I guess, what I would describe as personal finance 101 specifically for musicians. Although that's a little disingenuous because it's not really specifically for musicians, it's really specifically for artists. More wealth management. That's one of our specialties, working with the entertainment industry. Our clients include Grammy winners, Emmy nominees, screen actors, live performance actors and actresses, musicians. One of our clients, I think, has like 9 Grammy Awards or something like that. His shelf is pretty funny to look at. But anyway, the point here is that financial planning is something that a lot of people have questions about right now, and financial planning for the entertainment industry and for musicians is different. So I have 23 years of experience in the industry. My firm has been around for 7 years. And throughout the course of the year, we're going to be doing workshops for financial planning for musicians. So hopefully you all attend. We've been doing it for 3 years. We've had about a half a dozen musicians who approached our firm this year because of COVID. And hopefully through NERFA 365, we'll be able to expand that. And of course, there's no charge.
Thanks, Matt. I wanted to share, we got the executive committee got an email about a month ago from an artist, and I won't name them, but an artist who specifically was writing to us to thank you for the panel that you ran last year on personal finance and how much of a difference it made in her life. So thank you for what you're doing and how you're helping. All right, folks, I don't see any more questions, and I think we're going to run those videos and call it a night. Thank you so much for coming. It's good to see you. Get some sleep or hang out by an elevator. It's up to you.
We miss you.
See you all soon. Yeah. Video should be starting, but it's not starting.
Should we see the video get started?
There are already a number of ways that you can connect with people. Most of us are familiar with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, but what we're looking to do with 365 is a little different.
As has always been the case in NERFA, one of the most impactful ways that we all grow together is through sharing with our peers. There's immense value in discovering how a fellow musician, presenter, or other music professional is meeting the challenges of furthering their careers, especially in these changing times. NERFA 365 is planning to host a number of opportunities for groups of peers to gather together to reconnect with old friends, share stories of the successes and challenges brought on by the pandemic, and to learn from each other.
There's lots of songwriters at NERFA who want to hear what you're doing. There's a lot of venue owners that want to hear what you're doing, radio people that want to see you do it in a tiny little hotel room where you cannot help but be, in the moment.
I was brought on to the NERFA programming committee last year to plan workshops and panels dedicated to diversifying our community and member base with hopes of being more inclusive space for all types of people. This year we're still actively taking steps to do that.
One of the key components of NERFA's success over the years has been the level and professionalism of the panels and workshops that we've offered. It's always been our goal to strive to present to you ways to increase your proficiency in the ways that you are presenting yourself, in the ways that people perceive your product, in the way that you can market yourself, and to do our best to give you the tools to get in front of and impress every person that you perform in front of.
That as part of NERFA 365, NERFA is going to be offering monthly juried showcase opportunities. That is right. NERFA is going to be able to present you in front of presenters like me and so many others of my colleagues to be able to have your music showcased for us so that we can find ways to present you perhaps digitally in a virtual or digital concert venue or in person when we're able to do that again.
I really love NERFA a lot and love helping them out any way I can.
This place, NERFA, is the right place to go out, meet people, create friendships. I'm not just saying connections, but create friendships and community around your music and learn how to be better at doing it. Not just with business, but with songwriting.
We're in the early phases and we've got a whole lot of hurdles to jump. We are absolutely dedicated to serving you, our community, and the people that we care about.
Our spring tour in Germany, 20-city spring tour, was canceled, followed by summer festivals that were canceled both in the United States and in Germany.
Ethical Brew has been closed down due to the pandemic like everyone else.